The Sketcho Show Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, up until now you've seen the creature perform the simple mechanics of motor activity, but for what you are about to see next, we must enter quietly into the realm of genius. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Damen und Herren, from what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues, may I now present a cultured, sophisticated man about town. Hit it!
The Sketchomatic Show.
Sketch-O-matic. All right. The Sketcho Show Podcast back again. Yeah. Officially took a little time off. Of course, there was a tragic passing of Matthew Perry, which I'm going to talk about with my special guest today. Man, these mics sound good. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that I am recording this podcast episode within the confines of the L&K morning show located at KOST 103.5 mornings, Monday through Friday, right here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Today, I have not just one special guest, but another special guest who is actually on the podcast before. Now, I don't want to waste too much time getting into it, but today, my special guest hails from Chicago and has been working with the L&K morning show for quite some time. He is a former Emmy Award nominated host of JBTV, and he also hosted his own show called the Manno Show with no in parentheses, which I thought was quite genius. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Manno! What up, Ryan?
Oh my God!
I needed to match your energy there.
Yeah, you do.
Sketchomatic!
You're playing applause.
Yeah,
and, you know.
yeah. No, thanks for having me.
What song do you like, by the way?
Oh my God.
What song are you feeling right now? Or even young, new or old, what song are you feeling? Because I'm going to have a walk-up bed, and I want to play the bed underneath.
I like it. You know what? Oh God, I like Coldplay Paradise. I think when that bass, you know what I mean?
That fits.
When
It's
that
fitting.
Yeah, I like that lately. I've been using that as a bed.
Yeah, I like music beds.
Yeah.
How are you, Ryan Manno? It's great to finally have you on the Sketcho Show podcast. I know it's been a long time coming. And this is my first actual sit-down with you. I don't really know you because, we don't work together at the same time. I'm in the building later in the day. You're already gone for the day because you have to be up at like 3:30 in the morning, correct?
3.
Wow. And do you live far? Do you travel far to get to work?
I recently moved to Glendora, which has added about 15 to 20 minutes to my morning commute. So it's really, it's funny. That doesn't sound like much, but when you're fighting for minutes in the morning.
Oh, yeah. No, I know.
You know
I'm
what
panicking.
I mean?
I was panicking getting here.
Yeah.
And it's not even that early.
And I was in Pasadena, and that would take me, literally from out the door to in this store, it would be about 12 to 13 minutes. That time of day, I'm getting here at 4:30, 4:15. But yeah, adding even just a couple more minutes, man, it's crazy. Like even when you get home from work, I'm like, lately I've been like, why am I more tired? Oh yeah, I've been leaving 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I know. As we get older, each minute does count. And again, two things. I'm on the L&K microphone. Okay. So I feel very like spotlit. It's wild. And she's got a high chair because she's so little and she's so adorable. And I saw Ellen-K on the way in here. She was leaving, and I was so excited. Shout out to Ellen-K for showing me love, and of course showing Matthew Perry love. Rest in peace. I made a tribute yesterday on Sunday when this is being recorded. It was the day after Matthew Perry passed away, and I was able to put together a tribute, and it was aired on the L&K morning show courtesy of Darlene Rodrigo and Ryan Manno.
That's right.
Behind the scenes, and of course on the air with L&K. I have to point out as well that Darlene Rodrigo is here with us.
Hey.
Hi, Darlene.
Hey, Sketch.
Darlene has been on the podcast before, and she has allegedly listened to every episode since the beginning. Go ahead.
I have, but there's one recently in the past, maybe the summer, one of your summer episodes. I haven't fully finished.
Don't waste your time.
And I promise, I'm just going to chime in because I know Ryan pretty well. I feel like I know you more than anybody on like at iHeart LA.
In the building, for sure.
Yeah. And so there's some moments of opportunity that I feel like I might chime in as the voice of God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming off of speaking about Ellen, because she's the voice of God for real stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the Oscars and the Grammys
Yeah.
and the iHeart stuff. But only when appropriate, I will chime in. I've had my time.
Oh,
This guy has a lot to talk about.
I know. But
Hit 'em
Darlene,
hard.
you could feel
Hit
free
'em
to jump
hard.
in.
Yeah, no, nothing's off limits. And I will say, and this is true, like, I don't like the word jealousy. Maybe envious is a better word, but I would see all of these posts from Sketch being like, this week, Ani from Real 92.3, it's Darlene.
And he hasn't been asked.
Everyone else in the building, I was like,
Oh,
know.
your
All
ego's
okay,
bruised.
no, it's fine. I'll get my time. It's fine.
You know what? As Big Boy always says, my big brother Big Boy always says, it'll be greater later, and later is now. Ryan Manno,
Hello.
Ryan Manno show on the Sketcho Show, and thank you so much for your patience, because I did ask quite a few people to be on that I kind of knew I had a more of a communicative relationship with,
Sure.
because they're here,
Yeah.
and I know you and your brother and all that stuff. I know the radio history, but I just was not. I didn't really know you, so I was kind of maybe a little shy. But I will say that some of the folks, no names, not going to bash names, but some of the folks I've asked recently don't reply. They leave me on scene. And that really hurts because they tell me to my face, hey, man, yeah, I'll do the podcast. Hey, just shoot me a text, right to my face. And I'm texting them in front of them going, okay, here you go.
Just send
Send
it.
And they're like, okay, they look at it, got it. All right, cool, I'll reply. And then I leave. Weeks go by, and then the worst part is I see them later in the hallway, and they look at me like I fucked up. Like they're mad at me because they fucked up, and I'm just like, go ahead, darling.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
This even happens for commercials, for
Yeah.
deadlines
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
This is just very iHeart LA.
Yeah, I don't like it. What's the point of having iPhones, especially Instagram, if you don't have somebody's direct number and you hit them on IG, and then it just says seen. And I get it. Some people are driving, they got their kids, but the no reply, and we've known each other for like 20 years or something. Like, it's wild. I'm
That's
like, cool.
rough.
I'm not going to chase podcast interviews because, for one, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing it for the love to feature the special guests. Obviously, you can see I'm venting a little now, right, Ryan Manno?
Dude, I vent.
But,
I try.
yeah.
Boy.
Ask him about a Manno meltdown.
I used to have them quite often. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's like every 6 months.
Yeah, but I feel
You
like
erupt.
I'm due for a good one. You know, like where it's like collateral damage, like people that aren't even involved become involved, and then I have to be talked to by Jill Kempton or John Peake, and they're like,
Yeah, I've been there.
What
I
is-
do that not
Yeah.
all the time, but as I get older, I'm trying to keep my my eruptions in check.
Yeah.
because I've gotten checked before
Yeah.
here, and I mean, it's not that I have an anger issue. I just don't have patience for incompetence.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what I experience in my department is other people not living up to the efficiency, focus, and consistency that I'm putting
Yeah,
out.
same.
And I'm not saying that they're wrong. It's just, hey, man, that's why we have iPhones and Teams.
Yeah.
People think that the word Teams just means the app. It doesn't. Or the Lakers. It's like we're a team.
Yeah, dude.
Even if we don't work together, we're still a team in this company. And we got to like have each other's backs if we want to go home at the end of the day and do it all over again tomorrow. Ryan Manno, there's so much to talk about. Your illustrious career, like I said at the beginning, before even getting to Los Angeles, you did quite a bit in Chicago, as I read on your, I guess now outdated LinkedIn.
I wouldn't be able to get into my LinkedIn account if I needed to. I don't even know the recovery email. I'm sure it was a different phone number I haven't logged in there forever.
Well.
But yes, I did. I started radio at a pretty young age, professionally too. I went to college for it, to North Central College, a small sort of liberal arts school outside of Chicago in Naperville. And as an intern, a former grad of my school, an alum, was working as the engineer at this radio station called Q101, which I grew up listening to. I mean, it was my station. It was the alternative station in Chicago. Loved it. I mean, never listened to anything else. And like, I don't know, within a couple weeks of starting in the radio program at college, they said, Q101 is looking for interns through our former engineer, Vic Drescher. Does anyone want to apply?
Q101's like legendary station in Chicago, no doubt.
And I said, I would love to apply. So I had an interview, got hired on as a promotions intern. And within, I don't know, a couple months, 2-3 months, I did something that was pretty ballsy if you think back on it, now, as knowing how this works and the chain of command and the things you aren't supposed to do. But I took a CD air check of my college radio show, and I went into the program director's office and I said, would you mind listening to this? I'm Ryan. I just wanted to say a quick hi. I'm a promotions intern, but when you get a chance, can you just listen to this and give me your feedback? And he said, sure, shut the door, sit down. And I was like,
wow,
oh, shit, we're doing this now?
And you had it on cassette?
It was on a CD.
I
burned a CD.
Oh, wow. And what was, I want to ask this,
God.
what was like the initial spark that got you wanting to get into radio? I always like asking the guests, what was your, not just inspiration, but when it hit you, like, were you listening in the car with your parents? Like, all of a sudden you were like, I want to be on the radio. I want to work in radio industry.
A couple things. So my uncle, who's no longer with us, was he was a radio DJ, a jock. Back when big boss jock voices were a thing. And so I grew up in and around radio and TV. He was also a meteorologist on TV. So, but he moved around the country a lot. He was in Philly, Cincinnati, San Antonio, Florida. We would go and take vacations and travel with him. And every time we'd go see him, I would just sit in and I'm talking a baby, like 2 to 3 years old,
baby Manno,
in front of the microphone at the board. And growing up, I just was always just like, I was just taken by the magic of the media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Of communication, of how wonderful this can be.
Yeah.
To talk, to share, to talk with people when they call. There's just something so unique. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Outside of what we do. There is nothing like it.
Yeah, it's true, man. There's magic to it, for sure. Just hearing the hiss when you put on the headphones and you're about to go on the air, just like how I'm listening right now to myself with the headphones on. There's something you can't explain. There's like this magic buzz it gives you. It's kind of like a high without any actual substance, right?
Yeah.
Also, what was your your uncle's name?
His real name was Ron Manno, but on the air he went by Tony Mann. Tony Mann.
Do you have any old school demos that you did? Because Ryan, I got to point out that you do have a very young sounding voice. When I first heard you before I met you, I thought you were like a kid.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you sound really, you sound like you're like 23 years old.
No, I'm 42 and weathered.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
By the way, look at that photo. There, I was just scrolling through. See that?
He's showing me a photo.
I'm going to send that to you.
Yeah, send me that.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Look at the board though. It has knobs instead of pots.
Yeah.
And look at that giant head.
I know. I had a huge head as a kid. It's crazy.
I have an earth head now.
5 head.
Yeah.
Where were we? Hold on. Sorry. I just remember. My uncle. What was on the demo? So yes, and I do have demos. It's a crazy sketch. I just moved from Pasadena to Glendora. When I moved, I had a storage unit and I grabbed a bunch of bins out of there. I have binders and remember the old CD binders?
Yeah.
Of show after show after show on Q101.
What?
Like I have almost every show I've ever done on CD.
And some of it's on YouTube, correct?
I think maybe some of it. I don't know how much of it, but
I'm going to find some stuff. I got to find an audio clip of you on air, young Manno.
Oh God, it's got to be so embarrassing too. The Manno brothers, Ryan and Kevin, getting ready to get the AG double hockey stick out of here.
You can say hell. It's probably okay at 11:55 on a Friday night when we're playing metal music. If you want to say hell, that's okay. Okay. 591-8300. Hi.
We're about to get the hell out of here. I'm embarrassed even thinking about certain things that I said last week.
Oh, I'm always embarrassed.
Right?
I'm always replaying conversations, even text conversations. I'll go back and read them with like a conversation I had with Darlene, and I'm all, did I spell that right? Or I'm always thinking, was it taken out of context?
Right.
Should I put an emoji in there? Why do you feel like you got to almost like overthink it? Right?
I think we all did that though.
I don't know if everybody does that. I know some people that just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I read, and I don't know if this is true.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm taking you off course.
No.
I read that like a shockingly high percentage of people don't have an inner monologue. Something like 30 to 40% of people don't think about things the way that a lot, and maybe that you're listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, I don't have an inner monologue. That to me, I can't grasp.
There's no mental editor, right?
No.
Yeah, it's like a child.
Exactly. It's not like, I need I constantly have this like it's like a ticker tape in my head of
that's the radio in you too,
rifling
man.
through my head.
Yeah.
I would love just for one day to be like silent in there.
Yeah, you almost need help with that. For me, I don't. that's why I smoke weed, because it kind of calms me down, but it still makes me overanalyze everything. Like I'm constantly analyzing everything that I do, and I feel like it's wrong. I'm always living in a perpetual state of fear. And it's not the work. It's not my responsibilities or obligations. It's just I want to make sure I'm doing it right. I'm constantly walking like on eggshells, on top of eggshells for myself. Do you ever feel like that?
Every day, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? How do you mitigate it? No.
I don't know, man. I think that's part of, I really do. And I think maybe not everybody that's in this building, but I think a lot of people that do what we all do at a relatively high level, you have to have some degree of that, because if you don't, it kind of, to me, means you don't care.
Right.
Or you've gotten lazy, you've gotten complacent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And to me, that's the death. Like, that's really the death. And I find things, I find joy in challenge. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. We went to the Bears and Chargers game at SoFi as we're recording this here on Monday, the day before Halloween. We were talking about how there are two, in our opinion, and in kind of our careers, there are two different types of people that like to just complain and stop things from happening so that nobody appears better than you. Yes. Or you can take the same tools. Like, let's say I give you 5 colors, 5 crayons. I promise you, I will draw a better picture than you with the same crayons. And I love that.
Right.
Share the crayons. Give everybody 5 crayons. I promise you, mine will be better.
Yeah.
And if the second that you operate from a point of, oh no, take one of their crayons away, I don't want them to have that, you've lost.
Yeah.
And you've lost it.
Well said. I know what you're saying, though, because, well, when I have to do work and I know that I'm working with the same tools available that everybody else has.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I'm working with Pro Tools, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be here until they fire me. Oh, just got the future endeavors email from Peak.
There it is.
So, but it's true. It's like I like to step up and show, like, for example, and I don't want to just go back to the whole Matthew Perry situation again, but I feel like it's appropriate because I went on and it took me about 8 hours yesterday, all day Sunday, to put together a short 70-second tribute. Granted, I wanted to make it longer, but in radio, everything has to be short and concise. So it's hard to put out somebody's life and career and honor them in it in just 70 seconds or a little over 60 seconds. You know what I mean? It's almost not fair, but in radio, that's how it is, right? I would want to make it like 3 or 4 minutes long with everything. Fools rush in, whole 9 yards, more clips from friends, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is that you take those same elements that are available on the internet or on YouTube or whatever, and it's just like your 5 crayons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, would somebody else been able to make that tribute the way I made it? Maybe better, but I made it fast and under pressure.
Yeah.
Just so that it could be played here on LNK. And of course, for other morning shows as well around the country that are honoring him as well. You know, like I like to send it to Big. I send it to John Peak and stuff like that. Just so that, hey, here, this is what I did. Look.
Yep.
And of course, I usually don't get a reply from you. That's when you know it's right, though. No news is good news.
That's a good point,
right?
Too. Yeah. No, but I think you're absolutely right. And I think that your way is your way. And I think you have to be confident in your way.
Yeah.
You have to believe in your way. Even though you, like you were saying, have that voice. Is this good enough? Am I good? Like, but I think that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
To be honest, I really do.
Yeah.
The doubt makes you great.
You got to be doing things that scare you.
Yeah.
And coming up here kind of scared me just to have this podcast with you in this studio. It kind of made me nervous. It's not a bad nervous, but it's like, I get excited like I'm going to my first day of work.
Yeah.
You know that feeling?
Yeah.
I remember showing up to work on the first day when I worked at Power, and I drove over from West LA and I parked in front, and I'm like 19 years old, 18 years old, something like that. And I was dry heaving out of the car. Yeah. Like I was so nervous. And I'm like, why? You've done this for a while now. You've been working, in radio for about 2 years. But every time I come into the studio or I go into an on-air studio, And immediately when somebody goes, hey, Sketch, jump on the air with me. Or, one time EJ's all, jump on the air. I get like excited, like a roller coaster nervous. You know, when you're going up the climb on a roller coaster and you give yourself that thought like, should I have gotten on this? You know what I mean? And then once you're in it and it's going, it's like, woo, it's exhilarating.
Yeah.
That's how I feel every day coming into this station or coming into work at the station is this nervous, excited feeling. Do you still get that same angst?
Every day.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, look, there are days where, granted, we're tired or we're dragging and it may not have that same level, but I think no matter what, when the lights come on in the studio and when me and Ellen and Darlene are in here, which we're coming up on almost 8 years together, which blows my mind. Ellen just celebrated her 8. I joined a little later.
Hit that applause.
I mean, that's crazy, dude. 8 years. I mean, honestly,
she's an icon.
It blows my mind that we've done this long together.
I know.
But I think when we sit in here and it's like, all right, 20 seconds, like, how do you not feel when you look at the countdown and you go, okay, we're on in 20 and we have our plan. We know where we're going. Sometimes it falls apart, but that's the beauty of live.
Right? You're live.
But when it works and it's wonderful. It's really...
We're getting a sign here from Darlene. Turn her mic off. Before you turn the mic off, though, Darlene, is there anything you want to leave us with? Any words of wisdom? Are you leaving right now?
No, I'm going to put it back on when I hear something that triggers me.
Okay. She held up a sign like a true producer. Yeah. I mean, it's just so radio. You're so radio.
I don't want my clicks to come out on your perfect podcast.
Okay,
that's so sweet. Listen, real quick, Darlene, thank you for writing these notes. You wrote some little notes for me.
Okay.
Actually wrote them down.
Ryan won't brag about himself, and he has a lot of brag-worthy
There is
things.
a lot of brag-worthiness to talk about. Now, let's circle back. 12-year veteran in Chicago media, arts and entertainment. I'm just going to read a little bit off your LinkedIn here, okay? Just so you can see what you can hear back.
What you need to update.
Yeah.
God damn, 12. I mean, this is wild. Okay.
This is what it says. I'm a 12-year veteran of Chicago media, arts and entertainment, including radio, television, and journalism. Additionally, I have significant experience in experimental and integrated marketing on a national level for major clients. I mean, this sounds real fancy. Yeah. For the better part of a decade, I was a fixture on Q101, which you mentioned, Chicago's alternative rock station, where I hosted every day part. Throughout my tenure at Q101, I also worked as a promotions assistant, programmer, production assistant, and producer. This is all before you got on air, right?
Kind of in tandem with, because I was on by the time I was 19, late night, yeah.
So you got started around the same time I did, like 19. I'm 40. I'm about to be 46 in January, so I'm older than everybody in this room.
You look good for 46, 45. You really do.
Well,
what's that secret? What is that?
It's the wear a hat over the receding hairline. And nobody will know until you take it off and they're like, oh yeah, now I see you're 45. I see it. Yeah. Okay, so it says here, I'm a 2-time Emmy Award award-nominated former host of JBTV, which I know JBTV is pretty massive in Chicago, correct?
It's a big deal there.
60-minute television show.
This guy, really quick, I'll just tell you, his name's Jerry Bryant, and he's like, I don't know the best way to describe him. He's like Wayne's World meets Willy Wonka. Like, this dude just created this thing, and it was on like at 2 a.m. on like a cable access channel, and everybody remember when we were like tape things? VC?
Oh yeah, reel to reel?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. VCR,
like VHS, right?
Yeah,
and
VHS.
everyone just like started freaking out over this guy. Like, what is this? It's so weird. And he had this massive studio, and he would get he'd have like the Smashing Pumpkins in playing live, just because he was such like a cult favorite that he had no business having Bush and Smashing Pumpkins and all of these huge bands at the time in his studio, but somehow he did.
So you started 25 years ago, this year. Did you ever think it would be where it is today?
No, I didn't think it would last more than a year. Because I had to fight to get the videos on TV. Everybody said you can't do it. Because I started out on sort of when public access first started. And they said you can't play videos, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I just did it. So you got to break the rules and you got to do what you feel is right.
And as he kind of, wanted to transition out, he looked for, someone to kind of step in and fill it. And by that time, we were already on NBC in Chicago. We were on after SNL every Saturday, and I hosted that. So that was it.
We have clips of that.
I'm sure.
Please tell me we have a clip. I'm going to have to find a clip of that. Otherwise, we're going to have to skip over a clip. I don't like skipping over clips, man.
There's clips.
Hey, it's JBTV. I'm Ryan Manno. We are here on the bandwagon with the guys from Art of Dying. What up, fellas?
What's up, guys?
Thank you for having me. We're going to play poker today. The thing is, I don't know how to play poker. Before we even started, Johnny looked at me and he goes, hey, you cover me? We're doing $5 a man. The singer here, he's dead broke. Yeah. I'm already down $10. Well, then you cover me.
That's how you play poker right there, ladies and gentlemen.
So much history here with your illustrious career, Mr. Manno. And then let's get to the one Manno show with no in parentheses. I mean, that is one of the best names. But before I even say that, the name Manno, where does it come from? What does it mean?
Sketch. I don't know.
Really?
I don't
Let's
know.
Google it real quick.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to Google it.
You've never asked your dad?
Manno meaning.
It says, what does Manno mean? It says here, boy, oh boy.
Okay, the surname Manno came from a fierce or strong man.
Yeah.
Manny, M-A-N-N-I, may have arisen as an occupational name, which I don't know what that would have been. A Manny, like a nanny? No.
Like a Manny or Manuel.
Magnus. Manno comes from Magnus, large or great.
Interesting. It's always interesting people's last names.
Oh, sorry.
Darlene Rodrigo, ladies and gentlemen.
She asked for her mic off.
Go ahead.
What is your nationality? Like, where is your family from?
It's Italian. Manno's Italian.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I kind of thought you were like Irish or something. You know, you kind of have an Irish look to you.
Yeah, he looks.
I think there's a little Irish in there, probably.
Italian Irish.
Because I was thinking, I automatically think in Latin American terms, and that means hand, mano. Like, give me your mano.
Oh, mono, M-A-N-O, mono.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
By the way,
M-A-N-N-O. Go ahead.
Yeah, he has crazy hands when it comes to Vox Pro.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it. I can hear him over there working at 100 miles an hour.
He needs to go in the world, like Guinness World Records.
Guinness Book of World Records, yeah. Did you ever work on Orban Odyssey, Ryan Manno?
God, no.
Do you know what that is?
No.
It was an old school editing bay back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It used to cost like $17,000 brand new. The reason I bring up Orban Odyssey spelled A-U-D-I-C-Y, it was like the first version of Vox Pro. It's like Vox Pro, but Vox Pro is only 2 tracks, right? Now imagine Vox Pro with 10 tracks.
Oh.
That would be Orban Odyssey because that jog wheel is essentially the same thing. Now, there's a slight nuance because the jog wheel on Orban Odyssey was like alloy, but it would burn out and you have to replace it. So it was like trying to keep up vintage maintenance on a vintage car.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually I just got rid of them and I merged to Pro Tools. You're so fast on Vox Pro. Did you start on reel-to-reel or did you immediately start on the digital DAW systems?
It was, what was it called? The 360 shortcut. Shortcut 360.
Oh, yeah. That's what I started imaging on that. That's
you
what I
really?
started because I went from reel to reel.
Yeah.
And then the Shortcut 360 was invented with you can unarm each channel, the left and right. So you could just work on the left channel or just work on the right. And then I would overlay mono tracks.
Yeah.
Mano tracks over each other.
Do you remember the like, I don't know which one you used. Maybe there were different versions, but I'm thinking back to it and it just had like this little tiny like blue screen.
Yeah, that's the Shortcut 360.
Yeah, and I just think back on it. I'm like, how did we work on that?
I know. Well, we were kids, and that was the only thing available. It was better than reel to reel because you had to use razor blade and wax pen. And
I still did though. When we started, we still had carts. I remember we would play commercials off of carts. You'd look ahead at your log, and it would be like grab cart number 7241, and then you'd stack it.
Yeah,
you'd make the stack.
Nice
of carts
little
for the
stack next
breaks,
to your
and
board.
You'd enter the carts, and it's crazy.
I love that. I used to have to clean the cart machines.
Yeah,
with the
I did with the Q-tip and the alcohol.
And then sometimes a cart wasn't queued up right, and you would start in the middle or towards the end, and then you'd miss a whole spot and have to put discrepancies down and then hit up the PD. And it was just a whole movie production. I'd be so nervous too all the time. Like, am I going to miss a spot?
Yeah.
Those are good days, though. Those are real days of learning radio. Yeah. And it was something, like you said early on in the podcast, Ryan, is that there's something magical about it.
Yeah, dude.
Unless you're in radio, it's hard to put that magic into words.
And I'm glad that we, particularly you and I, and maybe anyone else listening that lived through that. I feel like we came in at the tail end of that because what's tangible anymore? What do we have? Like, you don't insert a cart for something. You fire a button on a board. It's fine. That's fine. But like, to do the work, to manually do it. Actually, again, I was having this conversation about the game, the Chargers game last night. It's like, we don't have tickets. Physical tickets anymore.
It's a QR code on your phone.
It's a code, and then okay, so you have that maybe in your digital wallet, but you don't put it in a scrapbook.
Right.
You can't show your kids. You can't pass it down and be like, I was at this game.
I know.
You know what I mean? And there's something, and I know probably, the old guy's talking about how things are different, but I'm telling you, whether it's music, whether it's a movie. There's something about when you have it. Okay, so let's say I have all these songs on my phone. I have movies on my phone. If I lose my phone, then I don't have them anymore.
Right.
So you don't feel a sense of ownership.
Yeah.
Over these things that you actually own now. Whereas like you have a book of tickets and you go, oh my God, I was there. I own these memories. I own this thing.
Right. I feel that way when I open Amazon Prime and I buy a bunch of movies. And then I'm like, but if my Wi-Fi goes down, which it has, Spectrum knocks out every other week. It's like a regular routine for them. But I can't watch anything. Like I even bought this. The best $5 I ever spent in my life was a box fan video that's 9 hours long, right? And it's just box noise fan, so I can sleep. It's for sleep.
Yeah.
And I cannot sleep without that thing. I have to have it. I have to sleep with headphones on. My hearing is so sensitive. I could hear a fart 10 miles away.
Mouse piss on cotton.
I could hear a flea fart in the middle of the night around the corner. Gosh. I can hear a coyote walking by, walking by. You know what I mean? And I come out and I look and it's all, wow, you heard me. It's one of those where I'm like, it's a blessing and a curse. It makes me good at what I do, editing and production and the Matthew Perry tribute. All that stuff is a blessing. But then when I'm trying to sleep, any noise, a person closing their door, the building next to me, I can hear it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I'll put on the box fan.
I love it.
And it's like the best sound in the world. But once in a while, the Wi-Fi goes out and it goes, and then the sudden silence.
The silence,
yes. I wake up, it's like dead air.
Yeah.
It's like dead air and I'm panicking and I could hear the alarms going off like here at the iHeart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what's going on? And this is why I wish I had a tangible copy of it, like on disc or on a USB jump drive that I own. You can't download it.
Yeah.
You could download it to your Amazon Prime app, but if you don't have access to Wi-Fi, it's over.
Yeah.
So thank God there's the 5G hotspot on your phone you can hook up to just as a little hack.
May I also suggest a real box fan?
Yeah, but I need it in my headphones unless it has a little headphone jack.
I see, because it's like, it's in there.
It's got to be in my mind. You know what I mean?
I see.
How do you sleep at night?
Podcast.
You fall asleep at podcasts?
Yeah, I
mine,
do.
Probably. You fall asleep to mine.
Yeah, I've listened to every episode like thousands. That's why I'm so glad I'm on this. I need a new episode. No, I listen to old wrestling podcasts. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 6.
Oh.
That's when I went to my first live event, Rosemont Horizon, Hulk Hogan versus Big Boss Man in a steel cage.
Wow.
And I love listening to podcasts that kind of talk about those days and like the magic of the wrestling we grew up with as kids and what was really happening behind the scenes, or this guy was a real dick, or this guy was, he got arrested and this guy was great and whatever. Like, I love the old stories of behind the scenes stuff from the heyday, the golden era.
That knocks you out, huh?
Knocks me out.
Is it hosted by somebody who's like, and then in this year, brother?
No, it's so chill. It's so calm and quiet. But it puts me right out because there's something to me that like I am, and I think we all are as we get older, we become suckers for nostalgia. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, man, there's something so soothing about thinking back to that time.
Yeah.
That it just puts, I relax.
Yeah.
I relax. I'm like, that's my time to finally relax and shut off what goes on in my head.
It slows your brain down.
It definitely does, because it makes you it makes you think of a simpler time and feel like a kid again. Mm-hmm. And it's just comforting. It's kind of like being swaddled by audio.
Oh, I like that. Swaddled by audio.
Swadio.
Ooh. Patent pending.
Thank you.
Now, I want to go back to the one man no show.
Oh yeah.
But before we do that, just real quick on the wrestling and listening to podcasts when you sleep. Kind of forgot where I was going with this. God damn you, weed.
Bong hit.
I had something in store, and then it just, whoop, slipped out. So let's circle back when hopefully it comes back.
Yeah.
1 second. Let me just read here.
Yeah, it's fine. Take your time.
Yeah. Nobody's listening.
I am to fall asleep.
Exactly.
If you want a good topic to steer from,
Please,
or
Darlene
two.
Rodrigo to the rescue.
News. You guys both love news.
I am a news guy.
Specifically, the Weather Girl on Channel 7.
She just came on. I'm so glad you brought that up because she was on and you were talking, Ryan. And I didn't want to go, hey, Ryan, do you know her? Because I saw that you like her pictures too. And I'm like, I think he knows her. I think he knows her. Do you know Brianna Ruffalo from ABC 7?
No,
I'm in love with her.
I know of Brianna.
Okay.
I do maintain a close kinship with many of our local news personalities, male and female.
Have you met her before?
I've never met Brianna.
Oh my God. No. There's just something so special about her. She's like the Taylor Swift of weather girls to me. I mean, she is unbelievably gorgeous. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to circle all the way back
Go
to
ahead.
the very beginning with and I think, this kind of explains a lot. Like, Ellen and Dara will be like, right, who's that reporter? And I know all their names.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, it goes back to growing up in that, like, as a kid, I was literally on news floors watching my uncle do the weather. And I was just so taken by it that I think it's just like, I don't know. It's just, it's a part, it's just a thing that triggers my brain to really light up.
You gravitate towards that, as I do.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
I love the liveness, the immediacy. I live for it.
And everything moving in it's like symbiotic. It's everything's moving in sync, not the band, but everything's moving together. And that is, again, there's something magical about that industry of seeing the cameras. The guy who's like, okay, camera 1, going to 2.
That's it. When you hear, and then they're like, all right, we're live in 5, 4,
3, and then they point.
The silence, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and dude, that, to me, there is no greater high. It's like skydiving or something. It's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's going out live.
Yes.
We're doing it live.
Besides the fact that everyone on TV is gorgeous, because, I mean, he has comments about everyone
like
on
me?
TV.
Yeah. I comment, well, I'm sorry, I don't comment, but I was going to point to the fact that you said, oh, you grew up to that. It's in your DNA. You gravitate towards that, Ryan. I gravitate towards it too, but I'm pretty certain that when you were growing up with your uncle on the floor in the media industry, they had nobody that looked like Brianna. Am I correct about that?
Dude, completely correct. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's something, it's almost like I cannot pay attention to what she's saying. I just look at the screen and I go, yeah, okay, 75 degrees. Okay. And then that's it. I'm just like, I don't know how. And then people around her are working like she's not the most gorgeous person in the room and people act like it's just normal. And I can't stand that. I know they're just like faking it. There's no way you're just standing there going like, yeah, no, everything's fine. No. It's just not possible. At least for me, it's probably good I don't work with her.
Oh my God.
I'd be a disaster. I'm a hot dumpster fire as it is.
Oh my God.
Ryan Manno, the Manno Show.
The One Manno Show. So you want me to tell you about that?
Yeah, the One Manno Show. Let's get into that. What?
So
go ahead.
At the time, so in Chicago, which is the home of the I guess you would call him pop punk band, Fall Out Boy, emo band. Pete Wentz was a friend of mine, and we lost contact, which is unfortunate. Pete, I don't know if you're going to listen to this, but we haven't talked in probably 5 or 6 years, and I miss him, and I miss that, and we've just fallen out of touch. But he opened a bar called Angels and Kings in Chicago, and it was like the spot. And Pete came to me and said, I want to give you Wednesdays. Will you just take Wednesday, program Wednesday, book Wednesday, get the bands, you do whatever, keep, figure out the profits and all that stuff. Take a chunk of the bar at the end of the night. And so, and I, at the time we would use my radio show to promote who I had playing the One Manno Show. And I called it the One Manno Show because I did a radio show with my brother, Kevin
Manno. Shout out to Kevin Manno.
We did a show together, but Kevin didn't take part in the show at Angels and Kings. So it was the One Manno Show.
So genius,
right? Not
man.
the two. So yeah, that's where that came from. And that was a really fun time. Although I would say probably one of the more destructive times in my life because I would do afternoons on Q101 and then head over to Angels and Kings. I'd get there by 7:30. We'd open by I don't know, 9. Band would go on around 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
Place was open till 4.
Oh my God. Did you have to work the next day early or?
Yeah, but that's
you just went straight from at 4 to the job.
I went home, would probably go to sleep, depending on what substances I ingested, whenever the body would stop working.
Shut down.
Whenever I couldn't do anything else.
I could relate.
And then, you wake up and you're at work. But the way I would look at it, because that was Wednesdays, and I would think like, okay, well, it's almost Friday. You wake up Thursday thinking like, okay, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah.
I
could make it to Saturday.
I don't know when I'm going to feel normal after whatever the hell I took. Whoever handed me whatever and was like, here, have this. It was fun.
Good times.
Great times.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad I lived to tell.
Yeah, you lived to tell the tale. I know exactly what you're saying, Ryan Manno, because I relate to that fully.
Yeah.
And there was
wild times.
Wild times, and I learned a lot, but it was very destructive, as you well said. I probably should be dead, my friend. The amount of party favors I ingested throughout my younger 20s and 30s was out of control. I think the worst of the substances, hands down, though, for me, alcohol.
Oh, really?
Alcohol was, I couldn't stop. I couldn't function. I felt like Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas. And the most perfect illustration of being an alcoholic and going to work for me personally was, you ever seen the movie Get Out by Jordan Peele?
I have.
It's like his first movie.
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
With Kaluuya.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It's where like the family is all white. They don't want him there. Yeah.
Well, they want him there, but not just for his body.
Gotcha.
Right. And remember, he gets hypnotized by the mom with the teacup.
Yep.
And he goes
when
to
she's stirring the spoon. Yes.
The sunken place. Remember, and he's fully like conscious, but he has no control over himself, and he's in that sunken place where it's like he can see what's happening around him, but everything's like he has no control of how he can do anything with his body. It's like he's just under this spell. That's what alcohol was like to me. It's like I was a full functioning alcoholic. I could drink early in the morning, like a fifth of Jack Daniels, and go to work at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And throughout the day, I had to sip a little bit because otherwise I'd start shaking. And I'd still turn in my work. I'd still do everything I had to do. But it was under the duress of constant shaking and constant hungover feeling. And then finally, not too long ago, after my mom passed away, it wasn't until 2021 on New Year's Day that I woke up and I tried to drink another six pack of Stella. And I've said this before on the podcast, that every sip I took, it was like trying to drink like battery acid. My body biologically was just like, no more. That's it. And I like to believe that my mom had something to do with it because my mom died of a liver failure. She struggled with her bouts of alcoholism, which eventually did her in at the end. But after so many years of myself drinking, it just like that day, it felt like it was a gift from her. And Big said this too, when his mom passed, that he feels like he has the best representative sitting next to God.
Damn.
And I took that to heart because I was like, wow, maybe my mom did have something to do with this. Like maybe if she was able to say something to God, and this is just wishful thinking, but I feel like in my heart, this might have happened because these things started happening. Like all these different realizations in life started to become very apparent I started to see things crystal clear through the same set of drunken eyes. Everything just started to make more sense. And I was able to walk away from the alcoholism just cold turkey. No AA, no, I'm just taking it one day at a time. It's just like my body was like, that's it. I'm done. That's it. We're done. The taste buds are like, I'm not even going to let it taste good to you now. When it goes down your esophagus, I'm going to make you want to throw up because I was just like, trying to get it down. And I finished the 6-pack. And when it was done, that was it. I was like, that's it. And I went through a little withdrawal, a little bit after a week or so, but it wasn't as bad as all the other times, or just trying to get through the day of work so I can get to 7-Eleven and buy another 6-pack. It was brutal. Did you ever struggle with anything like that? I mean, you said you had your substance party days, but did you ever struggle when you were in Chicago?
I've been fortunate where I I don't know that struggle's the right word because it's weird. I have a tattoo that says whatever it takes. And I've always been able to know that no matter what, even to this day, right? If you're like, oh, last night was like way too much, or, I don't know, if you get bored and it's 11 a.m. on a Saturday and you think, oh, maybe I'll crack. Like I've always been able to be captain of the ship.
So you can stop. You can just walk away. You're one of those dudes, like how Matthew Perry referred to it. He had friends that was able to just drink all night and then put it down and go to work and be cool. I was like Matthew Perry, like in the sense I had to keep drinking. I wanted to keep drinking, but it's like I physically had to. You never felt like you physically...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are... Yeah, dude. Like, yes, of course. Especially back then. Like, let's keep this party going. But I don't know. Like, it happened when I turned 30. I stopped drinking for 8 years. Like, didn't touch it. I turned 30. I woke up in a strange apartment in New York City with one shoe. And
sounds like the movie The Hangover.
It was not good. And I thought, well, this isn't cute. I'm 30 now. And at the time I was like, okay, 30 means you're a fucking adult.
I know.
So start acting like
you're
it,
not
right?
though. 30 is like, you're just, you're a grown adult.
It's like, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. But you're still kind of like young in your mind, right?
Right. So I was like, okay, this is not cute anymore.
Right.
So just stop. And so I just stopped. Like, you know what I mean? You just stop. Like, and I've never struggled with being able to just stop. Now, whether or not I've always just stopped is a different question. But can you? Can I? Yeah. And I'm grateful that I have that.
You have that switch. You could just switch it off.
Yeah.
Right. What about now? How are you doing now? Do you still partake? Do you still drink?
No. I mean, yes, I love to.
What's your drink of choice?
I like wine, red wine.
Sexy.
And honestly, I feel like I'm more of like a seltzer guy. Like I don't like the heaviness of beer.
Right.
I used to love like a good smoky whiskey. Sometimes if I'm out with the right food, I'll have that.
What about like a skinny, spicy margarita?
I'd love that.
With like Casamigos.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm doing you a disservice by naming drinks.
No, it's fine. I have no desire to drink. In fact, I like when I go out with my friends, which I don't really have many of these days. It's a small circle, but sometimes they'll be drinking and they're like, "Oh, is it cool if I drink?" I'm like, "Please, man, here, I'll pour it for you. I'm cool."
Yeah. Like, were you a beer guy?
I was a beer at first. Like I said, in the early days, I was drinking Jack. Okay. That was like my drink, Jack and Coke, straight up. Sometimes no Coke, just a splash of cocaine, just to back up the cocaine as well to sober me up. Yeah. It was like that movie Flight with Denzel Washington. That's kind of like what it was like for me. I would drink and then do blow just to sober up.
Yeah.
And then go right back in a circle. Around and around we go.
Yep.
My drink of choice was Jack Daniels. And then eventually when I stopped for 3 years, I was sober once before I got sober again. But in the 3 years I didn't drink. And then when I returned to drinking due to unforeseen circumstances, which led me I was in love. I had a relationship. I got engaged and then it didn't work out. Hence the drinking came back. And I decided not to drink any more heavy alcohol like whiskey and all that. I just stuck with Stella Artois. That was my beer of choice. What about you? Oh, you said it.
I don't like beer.
No, you don't like beer. You said red wine.
Yeah.
Right. What about like Don Julio 1942?
Yeah, no, I love that.
That stuff you could drink warm and it's delicious, right? Totally, yeah. I do miss it. There's times I miss it, but I don't miss feeling like shit every day. And that's the thing. I don't have, I guess I just don't have self-control. Maybe I do now as a 45-year-old man, but I feel like if I did drink again, it would just lead me down that dark hole again. It would take me back there. And I just don't want to. I'm so happy and content being like this. Like I still smoke weed. I drink coffee and I vape my Elf Bar nicotine. Those are my only 3 drugs, if you can call them that. Do you partake in any ganja there, Ryan Manno? Can we say it? We're not going to get in trouble.
No, no, I don't mind talking about it. I've even said it on the air. I used to smoke a lot of weed, but it made me so paranoid, Sketch. Like I would have these just crippling thoughts, and especially because I live across the country from my family, and I would think like I would have these just horrible thoughts as soon as like I would feel high. I would think, oh crap, like what if something happens to my parents and I'm not there. Like, and then when you start going down that like mental avenue, it's hard to pull yourself out. Right. Yeah. I think I smoked weed once in the past year at a concert at Stagecoach.
Ooh, good spot.
Yep. And it's fine, I guess, if you're laying back on a bale of hay, listening to country music, looking up at the stars. It's fine. It works.
Yeah.
But I think my only use really anymore for THC is to help fall asleep.
So it's like edibles, if anything.
Like I'll take a gummy.
Right.
And it's been a long time since I've even done that. But I'm not opposed. I had a great, wonderful relationship with it for many years, and I look at it fondly.
Yeah. And weed is really good now, especially in Los Angeles. I mean, in Cali, we got the best weed. I remember when Amsterdam had better weed than we did. Now, it's like we're the Olympic gold champions of weed. It's so potent that the thing with edibles is that if you take edibles, they can go pretty strong, pretty fast. And it becomes kind of like a shroomy experience for me. I do enjoy the paranoia to a degree. Like,
do you really?
I do.
Oh.
It's not paranoia of like what you said to the extreme of like what happens to my family with da-da-da-da. It's more of like, am I doing this right? It goes back to, am I doing my job right? So it kind of keeps me on my toes. And if I drink coffee and I smoke, it's like the combination of the caffeine mixed with the weed paranoia. I get like sweaty hands and I'm like nervous, but I'm just sitting at home. Yeah. Nothing's happening. I'm just sitting at home.
That's enjoyable to you. That particular,
just at the beginning, because it doesn't last for very long. It's like a short-lived experience of the two clashing with each other.
Okay, got it.
And then after 20 or 30 minutes, I'm just stoned.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there. Yeah. Anyway, listen, I do enjoy talking to you about our party days and stuff, and I appreciate you being so open and transparent. But let's get back to the work and the radio and your life growing up in you grew up in Chicago, right? That's where you grew up. Or you said your parents are on the East Coast.
Well, no, everyone's back. I guess when I say East, they're east of us. So they're my. And when I say Chicago, I worked in Chicago. I went to college in Chicago. I lived in Chicago, but I grew up in Indiana. So I grew up probably about 20 minutes from the Indiana-Illinois border, 35, 40 minutes outside of Chicago. So it's technically, plus it sounds a lot cooler too when you're like, yeah, I'm from Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Right? Isn't that where they filmed A Christmas Story? Remember?
Yeah, well, yes, dude. And that's where it's set. I grew up in Highland, and Hammond, which is the town it was based on, which is called Homan in the movie, was the neighboring town next to me.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's literally Northwest Indiana. Although it was filmed in Cleveland, the movie was filmed there, but it's set in Homan, which is Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah. And then they made a new one. Did you see the new one?
I didn't.
Yeah, they made a part 2. I forgot what it's called. Hold on, we got to pull this up.
Wait, is it out already? Was it out?
It came out. Like.
I wish they wouldn't have done that. I remember it.
It's him grown up. Christmas Story, Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, and Peter Billingsley's in it again. You know, Ralphie.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, it was all right. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really enjoy. It's not as iconic as the first one.
No, it can't be. Why? Yes, it can't be.
Now, speaking of, look, there she is. Our girl.
Brianna Ruffalo's on TV.
Is it Ruffalo or Ruffalo?
Ruffalo.
It's Ruffalo. Okay, I thought I heard somebody say Ruffalo. I don't know. Sorry, Brianna. I'm totally just botching your name. I don't even think she needs a last name.
You know what's weird?
My face?
No.
Oh.
Sometimes I look at people, like really beautiful people, and I think they poop.
I know. I'm jealous.
You're so weird.
Gonna probably have to edit that part out.
Oh my God. No, but sometimes I just like to look at them and humanize them. I'm like, you woke up today and took a dump.
Or I'm just jealous that maybe. I'm jealous more of like they have like a dog at home and that dog has no idea how beautiful its owner is or how beautiful its mom is, like, or maybe she doesn't have a dog, but I'm just jealous that people get to work around here and I don't. It sucks, And you know what even sucks even worse is she's down the street at ABC at Disney right here, right? Isn't she?
She's right up there. Yeah, right up there.
Oh my God. I pray every day that I'm just run into her randomly somewhere, like at a store or like, at CVS or something. Yeah. So bad. Want like a selfie just to prove something to myself. Okay. Anyways, back off, Brianna. Sorry, Brianna. You were saying about the Chicago,
Yes.
growing up in Chicago.
Yeah.
The parents are in Indiana.
Yep.
Where did I get confused?
Yeah,
there?
there's no
right?
confusion. You're still right. And they're still there. My brother Kevin, who worked here for many years.
That's what I wanted to talk to you
Yeah.
about. So you and Kevin, is Kevin older or are you
Younger.
twins? Younger.
He's 2 years younger.
Interesting. And you both get hired here at iHeart at the same damn time. How did that work?
He came first. So the way, here's a little divergence. So after we finished together in Chicago, Kevin got hired by MTV. He hosted a show called The Seven, which replaced TRL. And then I got out of radio for a little bit, and I worked for this marketing firm, and we opened the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas.
That's right. I read that in here. I mean, bro, that place is...
It was cool. To be part of that, too, at the time, it was like so... It was a hotel like Vegas had never seen because it was just so artsy.
And it's so futuristic.
Yeah,
it was the most futuristic of all the hotels in Vegas.
For sure.
Now, you were a part of the planning
marketing team that got the word out about it. So we would travel the country, going to different food festivals. Like you have your target audience and you're like, what clientele do we want? It was the people at food festivals. It was the people at art festivals. We'd go to the US Open and tennis thing and suites and hand out, here, come stay for a week and, targeting the right guests and whatnot. But, and I needed a break from radio, dude, because at the time, and for anyone who does this, there's a stress that comes with this. There's a pressure. It's
a cost. That's for sure.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Tell me about
it. And you just want to go, okay, I can't do that right now for a long time or until I feel ready again.
Darlene knows I'm ready to say, take a hike, Sketch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But dude, it'll always be in you, Sketch.
Yeah.
Like it is and was in me. But at the end of the day, you still just need to give your body and your brain and your soul like a breather because it is a high stakes game. You get ratings every week. You're judged on this, judged on that. Here's your bonus. Here's your digital. Here's this. Here's a meeting. Let's
you get bonuses?
So it's just like, dude, I mean, it is not for the faint of heart to do day in, day out and expect to be, I don't know, like just always happy or always comfortable, right? It's just because by nature, you come at it uncomfortable, hoping to win. And when it changes week by week and then monthlies and quarterlies, and that makes this book, and it's just like this, it's a hamster wheel that doesn't end.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Never.
And so you got to give
my daily motto.
Yeah. It never ends. And I'm not complaining. I'm not. I love it. I live for it, but it takes a toll.
Yeah,
it does, dude. It's like being a professional athlete or something. It's like, okay, well, you hit 40 home runs last season. Guess what? This season you've hit 6 and your batting average is 182 and you need to get that up or you're fucking gone. Yeah. Right. And sometimes I feel like when we have a 182 batting average, I'm like, because it's cyclical and ratings change in the archaic system that we use, PPM and Nielsen, and this group is weighted more, and there's only 12 meters in the field for you. What is that? 12 in all of LA? You're talking about a handful of people dictating to say, oh yeah, this is how many people listen to this station. It's crazy. But of course, it's not crazy when it goes in our favor.
Right. It's always best. Yeah. It's always the bomb when when it does go in your favor. But it's constantly shifting. People's listening habits are shifting. And now there is so much to choose from with podcasts, with streaming, Netflix. And there's a new show coming out every week. There's a new album dropping every week. It's hard to keep up. Mm-hmm. How does that type of pressure...
That's the word I didn't use in that rant. Pressure.
How does the pressure of all those outside things play into what you do with the Ellen K show now?
That's a great question. Maybe Darlene can answer that better. No, it's really good. In some degree, some aspects, I think it helps make me a better producer, better on the board, better writer. But on the other hand, a lot of times I feel like maybe the pressure is a detriment because I I don't necessarily always feel like I am living life.
I feel you on that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you go home and you get to work on the next day, maybe you have some lunch, you walk the dog. If you're lucky, take an hour and a half nap, and then get right back to work on the next day's show. It's like, but what happened to you at Target? What did you have dinner with a friend like that could give you experience like life to bring to this? And we don't have that luxury. We're a small team. It's me, Ellen, and Darlene.
I know.
And you look down the hall, 6, 7, 8,
Oh, they have
12.
a whole wing of people.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So I think, dude, the pressure is, it's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Darlene, what you got?
I need to chime in on this.
Please.
I think it's really important to note too that like we all know we're very lucky to have this job. We're reminded of that, right?
Oh yeah, no, I heard him tell you when you want to raise.
But also, it's like Ryan said, it doesn't come it comes at a high cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's up to you to learn that balance because eventually it catches up to you where your brain stops thinking.
Yes.
And the overwhelm takes over and you have to pretend like you're not overwhelmed because we want to make our listeners happy, right?
Of course.
And at the end of the day, we're passing on, especially we're the feel good station. So we are always trying to promote positivity, but days are not always positive. And so I think just remembering for me what works is like, I've had the regular Starbucks barista jobs, working at the hospital, being a tutor. Like I was a cashier at Office Max. So I know the pressures of other jobs as well. And that always kind of helps me remind myself like, well, I could be doing that and getting paid a lot less. But sometimes
I know
it gets so bad. You're like, maybe I am going to go back to doing that.
Absolutely. It is like when I got out of radio and I went and did that, it's kind of like, imagine a rubber band just being stretch, or blowing up a balloon.
Yeah.
Bigger. Boom, that pop. While it's jarring, when it's over, it's like, oh my God, I can breathe.
That sense of accomplishment.
I can breathe.
Yeah.
Also, like what pays for me, obviously I have to work, I have to make money, I have to, provide for my family. But what pays more than dollars is what we're able to pay back and give back to the listeners.
And it's such a good point. And I can't not say this, and I can't say this enough. This is not a complaint. It is simply a look inside of what this job entails. That's it. And this is not complaining. I love it. And I can't say it enough. I literally live for it. It has been my entire life.
Same.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
It's
but
the
it does,
best.
like we said, it comes with a cost.
Yes.
The cost isn't complaining. We're just like saying, hey, it's like a disclaimer at the end of a spot,
Just so
which
you know.
I know plenty of.
Yeah.
Those disclaimers, it comes with shit. There's always a consequence that you're going to have to pay, a price to pay for what we have.
And listen, here's another thing, and this is kind of, I think the biggest struggle I've had over the last 8 years being at KOST is like Dar just pointed out, we are the feel good station. And man, it is a gift to be able to be with people when they drive to work and to give them something they remember, whether it was, I remember when you flipped to holiday music or when this happened. Or
when a listener just recently remembered that he likes eating ranch with his mac and cheese.
Yeah, I met just a random listener and they're like, do you really put ketchup and ranch on your mac and cheese? I do. Yes.
You do?
I do.
Holy moly.
Oh, I do. It is a thing. But for someone to have heard me say that once or twice and they remembered it and they asked me that
That's one hard to forget though.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But those moments, dude, those are wonderful things. But here's the thing. As we as a society continue to evolve and grow and change, we can't always pretend that everything is, it's great to be a feel-good station. It's great to make people feel good, but let's also be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes shit just sucks.
Yeah.
Period.
And we don't always feel good.
No.
Like
I read a study today, sketched 66% of people now say their monthly earnings or their monthly expenses outpace their earnings.
Oh, for sure. I'm one of them.
That is something we need to talk about.
Yeah.
That sucks. And there's a lot of people listening in the morning that feel like shit because life is hard.
Yeah.
For everybody, no matter how positive you are, no matter how feel good you are, no matter what, you can't just laugh it away.
Right.
It's real.
It's always going to be real, and especially in Los Angeles, the cost of living. The state tax is 14%. Okay, 14% as of right now. I'm guessing it'll be 15, 16 in the next year or two. I just heard this on Joe Rogan, by the way. The average cost of living in Los Angeles just to have a normal life, a normal, meaning you don't have the Tesla, you don't have the 2-bedroom or the 2-story condo, just a regular 1-bedroom apartment, decent car, insurance, health insurance, et cetera, $80,000 a year. That's average.
I actually think it's more than that.
It's probably more than that.
Yeah.
Probably now.
Yeah.
But when I heard it was, and that sounds about right. I make just barely enough money to scrape by. And then I have maybe like $100 after paying rent and all my bills. That's it until the next paycheck. And then it's like the whole month starts over, and then that wave of panic. Am I going to be able to make that same amount, maybe a little more for this coming month? And I'm like, what am I doing? And it goes back to what you said, Darlene. Maybe I should go back to making less money, but being happier. I've considered moving to Nevada near my sister.
Yeah.
There's no state tax there, but the cost of living isn't that much cheaper than LA. No. It's wild.
Yeah.
No matter where, it's just 2023 comes with the stipulation of everything's going to be expensive unless you live in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Or unless you come from old money and you're a trust fund kid or what. Like, I look around at people and I'm like, how are you in Europe again? This is the third time.
I know.
What do you do? How are you doing this?
You travel more than the president.
And here, just to put a bow on that, I think that, look, we don't need to belabor that, but I think what I wrestle with is internally, I really struggle with not talking about that. You don't need to harp on it. You don't need to make it a big focal point or a negative, but man, yes, we're a feel good station, but the truth is not everybody feels good, and not, I don't know. I just think me personally, I feel like we just need to be maybe more mindful of that. Or I want to be, I guess, is my point.
I hear you, man. That's a good point to bring up, man. And I don't think it's brought up enough, to be honest with you.
I also like to kind of show that and talk about it to my 14-year-old son, who is witnessing and has witnessed. He's grown up in radio, right? He was 4 years old when I started in the business. And I just want him to know, like, look, whatever you choose to do, you're always going to have, the goal is for you to have more opportunity. Right. For the future generations, right? Whether you have kids or not, like, we all are trying to keep this planet going and rolling. But also, I think no matter what business you're in, we talk about this all the time, Ryan, like, the people that you're with matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
They help you go. It's like your workmates are your roommates for 6 to 8 hours a day. And if you can just be a better human in general, be thankful, be appreciative, pay the respect that people deserve, we would be willing to put up with a lot more.
Well said. I mean, yes. I think coming from you, Darlene, it sounds so much more eloquent and sweet. If I said the same thing you just said right now, coming
Say it in your words.
Yeah, in my words, you guys need to start spreading some of that fucking respect around. And then immediately I get an email with a CC and a BCC and a CC Peniston and CNC Music. They're all on there, okay? And I'm like, I just said what she said. Yeah, but that person's offended because how you said it. It's like, bro, everybody's sensitive about I can't even like tell you the time of day without you being offended.
What's funny is that it's free.
Yeah.
The respect.
Yeah, it's free. It's the easiest thing in the world.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Gratitude is free.
It's just, I don't think people are... Well, I think like their work selves also weigh into it. Like whatever's happening in their lives, their work mask is on. And everybody's acting in this way of like, we got to get the job done. We got to da-da-da. But the problem is that everybody's on their own islands. And we're supposed to be a team. And what really drives me nuts is when I get an email and it starts with, hey, team. And then if I reply back to it, I get no reply.
Yeah.
I get nothing back. What happened to team? This is supposed to be a team. They just think team means the app or the Lakers. Like I said, it's us. We're supposed to have each other's back, but everybody's just trying to get home to go do their thing.
They're rushing to the next thing. They don't put attention to detail. And also, we have to figure things out. It's a DIY mindset around here. We have to do it ourselves, do it yourself. And we're handed copy or, certain bullet points that we are expected to get off the air to translate to our listeners, and yet no detail. Just like, do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you did it wrong. Oh, there was no details there.
Right. Hey, Darlene, here's this bottle of water. Make it go to Mars.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Totally.
Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Hey, you have a bad attitude. You're difficult to work with.
There you go.
That's my daily life.
That's it.
I can't they'll hand me sunglasses, some AirPods, and a phone and go, okay, make this a 30-second spot. Well, what do you want it to say? Bad attitude, difficult to work with. Look at this guy. He's asking questions. It's enough already. Yeah. Help me help you. Yeah. That's where the term came from, right? Go ahead.
The beauty of it is that we are the smallest team in morning radio, but we have learned to DIY very well. We have learned to not only read each other's energy and the way we're feeling or what we're dealing with at the time, but we make it all work. And I'm very proud of the way that we've been able to build.
Yeah.
Sometimes
smaller crews are better.
Show.
Sometimes having a smaller crew is better because then you know what everybody's doing and there's no guessing of where that other
It's
person
so true.
is at,
Do you remember on SNL, Nick Burns, your company computer guy, Jimmy Fallon? Did you ever see this?
I did.
I feel like that. Sometimes we have people come in to try to help and I blow my freaking top.
You blow a gasket like the old O-Matic?
It's great. Dude, I'd be like, move! I appreciate the fact that you're here, but move.
Yeah.
You're driving me crazy. You're going so slow. And I get it, and that's terrible because everybody has to learn, and I'm sure at some point I was that guy. Actually, maybe I never was because I feel like
you came in at 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you have that about you. I feel like one of my friends, J Love. Shout out to J Love.
What's his real name?
John Halterman.
Oh, okay.
Do you know John?
I worked with a J Love, and his name was Jeff Karlov.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess there is more than one J Love. Well, J Love, the Silver Glove, we call him. He works with DJ Ski, but he said to me once, he was like, Sketch, I think people are born into this radio shit, and I think you're one of them. Because you're so good at the production and the imaging, it's like you're not even trying. It's like you're driving a car, even though I don't own a car anymore. It's like the second-hand nature that takes over, right? Second nature that takes over. And with radio, that's what it is. It's built into your DNA. It's hard to be in radio. Radio seems to be fleeting, even though other people will say that it's bigger than it's ever been. I don't know about that. But I will say the same drive I had since day one when I was 16 years old getting into radio, I still have the same drive now to this very day. And I still get excited about every little piece of audio element that I put together, even if it doesn't get played. Sometimes I'll make stuff, it never even airs. And because it's too long or whatever. Okay, well then I'll cut it down. But then they didn't have a chance to hit it or it was edited after. There's a lot of stipulations that come with it.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears here, guys. Ryan Manno and Darlene Rodrigo here on the Sketcho Show podcast. Ryan Manno, let's start with you and then go over to Darlene just to recap what is of your official positions on the L&K morning show. I didn't really quite cover that at the beginning, but I want to talk about that just a little bit right now. What is it that exactly your technical position you hold with the L&K morning show?
I have two titles of the L&K morning show. I'm the executive producer. Or the senior producer?
Executive sounds way better.
I'll take that. And then I'm Ellen's co-host. So those are my
and titles. You run the board, right?
I do. I run the board. I edit. Anything, if you listen to our show, as it's happening, any audio you're hearing is coming it's a decision I've made.
Right. And you're cutting on Vox Pro, which is what edits phone calls, interviews, and the Friday morning lights, all that stuff is all ran from your side, right? Correct. I had the honor of putting together that intro, which was the first piece of production I ever produced for the L&K Morning Show. Darlene Rodrigo, who's been on the podcast before, but is here now because, well, she's part of the L&K Morning Show as well. You're one of the producers on the show and on air as well. Is that the technical title you hold?
I am technically a producer of the show. I chime in a lot as a producer, but I'm technically not on air. And I started off as an assistant producer when Ellen came over to KOST. I was able to promote to a producer position. And so I like to say I'm like the wedding planner of a radio show.
Yeah, that's so sweet. The wedding planner.
All the little details, kind of helping enhance the features or the listeners for me, like giving tremendous customer service is a major plus, making sure that they're both happy, helping however I can to make that happen.
Right.
And that's pretty much.
Well, I will say that Darlene Rodrigo was the one that hit me up. I attribute you bringing me in the circle of the LNK morning show in a production sense. I started doing it with the Friday Morning Lights intro, which was a lot of fun to put together.
I can't even remember why we started.
Why we started talking?
Yeah.
Because I work in production, commercial production, right? And I would email you scripts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I forget exactly when. Oh, this is what happened. You emailed me and you were like, "Hey, Sketch, we're doing a new segment on LNK's."
I know, but I don't know how I found out about you doing that stuff.
I think I probably just sent you some production or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I can't remember. See,
that's funny.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's going to hit me later, and then I'm gonna be like, "Damn it!" But somehow we connected, right?
Yes.
And I put together the intro, and then from there, like I started making. I want to hit a couple of these things. Let's hit the Friday Morning Lights intro.
LNK's Friday Morning Lights.
That intro is essentially me multi-tracking a bunch of me, stacking myself on top, my voice at least.
That's
top.
you?
Yeah, it's all me. It's all me sounding like a crowd of people.
LNK Friday Morning Lights.
Oh my God. That's incredible this whole time.
Yeah, and that I attribute that production style to a man named John Frost. And John Frost was the imaging director for K-Rock for 14 years. He runs Frostbites Online. He's the voice of KFI now. And he did a lot of that imaging, like that very animated type of imaging where it sounds like almost like a cartoon or something, or like there's a crowd of people. Or,
I love it.
It's very theater of the mind.
Yes.
And, it's because of him I got that know-how because I studied his stuff and I'm a big fan of John Frost and all that stuff that he would put together. I wanted to be like him. So that moment I had that moment to shine and kind of be Frost-ish was the LNK Friday Morning Lights intro. So thank you, Darlene, and thank you, Ryan, for allowing me to do that for the LNK morning show. And of course, then following that came the feel-good mix that I put together recently.
Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive. Moon, 24 karat magic in the air. Tonight's the night, let's live it up. I got my money, let's spin it up. Girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna let's dance, let's shout, shake it out one more time. It's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate and dance so free. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em why you work.
And then I made another mix. What was it?
You've made tributes for us.
But not just the tributes. Oh, well, I want to get into that too, because the Matthew Perry tribute I made most recently, which actually aired on the LNK morning show, according to all
This
of you,
morning.
twice.
Yeah, twice.
Holy.
I'm posting an audiogram right now.
Amazing. But what was it that I'm trying to figure out what I produced, the mix. Like I made a little mashup mix of a bunch of songs. I made the feel good one. Then I made another one. What was the other one?
You're asking the wrong person because my brain left my body last week.
Yeah.
No, it did. She was in an accident. And I don't want to get into her medical history.
I haven't told him yet.
She got hit by another driver, not Darlene's fault. But I will say,
I didn't know that.
I want her to go get her noggin checked.
I'm kind of suffering from some amnesia.
Oh my God.
I know it sounds so dramatic, but it's the truth.
Well,
so
it wasn't just a fender bender.
he was going like over 80 miles per hour and merged right into me.
Yeah.
On the freeway.
And ever since then, I've been really dazed and I can't get my full mind back. So
did you hit your head or what
people keep
injury
asking
did you
me
suffer?
that. I think it was just major whiplash and my wrist hurt from, holding onto the wheel really hard.
But I think, I'm telling you, even a little bit of whiplash is enough to get your brain
shooken.
Yeah.
That there's that fluid around our brain, and when it's disturbed, it can swell up or bulge or get bruised or something.
Yeah. Hence, like football players.
Yeah.
Taking real damage over the years.
And you don't need to get hit real hard to have a concussion. Again, to go back to wrestling, I've lived through many wrestlers with concussions, and you see where it happened, and you go, that has them out for a month and a half.
Last week, I was trying to log into my work computer, and mind you, I do this every day. I was putting in a work computer password that I used from my early days at KOST.
Like she hasn't used it in like 6, 7, 8 years.
And I didn't know I remembered that.
Wow.
But I couldn't remember my current password.
That's weird.
And I couldn't even get into my phone. I couldn't remember my passcode.
You don't have the face thing?
I do, but I did it too many times.
Oh.
Anyway, so don't be offended that I can't remember because these details are a struggle right now.
Well, I do. I just looked up my sent production to you on my email, and it's a Tina Turner tribute I put together.
Nice. That was a great one.
And but that one was a little too long, and I remember it had to get cut down a little bit. So I took into consideration for this Matthew Perry tribute, keep it at least 60 seconds. I went 70, but Matthew's worth it.
Yeah.
Let's hit that tribute real quick, if that's okay.
Actor Matthew Perry, the American-Canadian star who played Chandler Bing in Friends, has died.
Even though he had his troubles, he didn't have a lot of enemies. People liked him.
I can't have sex with you.
And why not?
Because I'm in love with Monica.
You're what?
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Matthew Perry.
A lot of actors need a script to order lunch. You're not that guy.
I actually don't understand your question.
Now that I think about it, I'm not sure how great Matt LeBlanc really is.
The book's called Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing.
The reason that book's any good is I was just setting out to help people. If somebody comes up to me and says, I can't stop drinking, can you help me? I can say yes and follow up and do it. When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want that to be the first thing that's mentioned. I would like to be remembered as somebody whose paramount thing is that he wants to help people. That's what I want.
My true message is that, if you face this, then sobriety is possible, and I've never been happier in my whole life.
Okay, should we get some coffee?
Sure. Where? Rest in peace, Matthew Perry.
So yeah, what did you guys think?
I mean, it's perfect. Honestly, you encapsulated, I think paying tribute is, so it's funny when you do a tribute, I think like it's easy for us to be selfish and think, oh, what do I want in there? Right. But when you hear him say how I want to be remembered, this is what was paramount as he said to him. So you have to honor that, which is what you did. And that's a tribute. And it was great.
Thank you so much. And rest in peace,
great. And I love that. By the way, really quick, my brain's exploding. The way the version of I'll Be There For You with the piano.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
That's the again, you go back to the 5 crayons. You go, okay, here's your friend's theme. I'm going to do it a little different, and I think it's going to be better.
Yeah. Now, let's get into just the production value of that before we move on with the Ryan Manno show, including Darlene on the Sketcho Show podcast. Putting together that tribute, and any tribute for that matter, the what takes the longest amount of time, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Ryan Manno, is going on the internet, on YouTube. How would we get through life without YouTube now? I have no idea, because YouTube provides the colored crayons I need to illustrate this tribute.
Yep.
And finding that clip of Ryan Manno, of Matthew Perry asking telling us how he wants to be remembered. It took forever to get to that. I had to go through hours of footage that I found of him.
Yeah.
And finally I found a 48-minute interview of him on stage. I think it was The Guardian or something that posted it. I don't really remember. It was Tom Power. I'm trying to give this person a shout out, but they were hosting a theater type of interview with him on stage. People were asking questions and whatnot. And it wasn't until like 30 minutes into that interview, I watched the whole thing. That's what takes the longest. You have to shift through and sort through all the audio. Yeah. And then, of course, you go by memory. What are the funniest Friends clips that I remember? And then you go to best iconic Chandler Bing moments on Friends, etc. It's all finding those raw audio files and pulling them off YouTube, loading them in Pro Tools, lining them all next to each other. I must have had like 30 or 40 different audio pieces. What you got, Darla?
I saw your video that you posted, which was so intriguing. You should post more stuff like that.
Thank you.
One thing I've learned from both Ryan and Ellen, but specifically Ellen K. Okay, radio goddess. I love to see her eyes twinkle. And what makes her eyes twinkle is sonic gold.
Yeah.
Okay. So finding the right clip, like an emotional story with the right music bed, or the right story with the person narrating and then her being able to work her magic in.
Yeah.
Like, I am always in the game of, oh my gosh, we have to get that on the air. You know what I mean? Because I know it's going to give her that twinkle.
Yeah.
And then Ryan, he's so funny. You see him orchestrating like a person orchestrating at the Hollywood Bowl. His hands are up in the air. He's like stabbing the air like, this is where we're cutting it. And that's the magic, right? That's the
true.
magic.
I mean, I think if someone watched me work, they would be like, what is wrong with this person? What is he doing? I don't understand this. Why are his eyes closed? Why are his arms in the air?
Yeah.
What's he pointing at?
What's he stabbing at?
Why did he just cut?
Why is he so violent?
You're like the maestro at an orchestra.
I mean, a little
right?
bit to some degree.
Yeah.
And that's literally just it. That's to me, it's how, I don't know. I mean, that's just how I feel it, because I think you have to feel it. You have to feel it.
You have to.
That's how it gets me when I make a tribute. I know that if I tear up a little bit, I know that the general public who listens, who aren't expecting it, are going to be knocked over the head with emotions, especially if they grew up to Friends, if they grew up to Matthew Perry and Whole Nine Yards and Fools Rush In and all the other great work that he did. All those things, they play into your childhood or your upbringing, and that's what I'm trying to tap into. Probably the most emotional tribute I ever put together was for Kobe Bryant. And that happened a day after my 42nd birthday. He died on January 26th. My birthday is on January 25th. And I remember when I saw that TMZ post, I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, this is bullshit.
We said it today. And I don't know what it is about these certain people, but like, I think it's the people you don't expect to go. It's like you see like, oh, Betty White. Okay.
Right. Well,
sorry. I mean, that's sad, but like, kind of something.
Yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. When it's not supposed to be like that. And I said this today on the air. For some reason, the last death that made me do a triple take at my phone to go, no, was Kobe.
Yeah.
It was Matthew Perry and Kobe in the past, I don't know what, 10 years, 10 years that have made me just go, there's no fucking way.
And Nipsey for me too. Nipsey Hussle. He's one of our guys. Obviously, because he was close with Big Boy, and I'm a product of Big Boy's neighborhood. I grew up with him, and just the fact that Nipsey was close to Big Boy by default makes him close to me. I never knew Nipsey. I met him maybe once or twice. He was always extremely nice, extremely calm, which is always something I admire, and I'm kind of jealous of. Are people that are so calm all the time.
I have no idea what that's like.
Me neither. I can't. I try to act like I'm calm, but I can't. Go ahead.
No, Ellen and I work very well with chaos.
Yeah.
And so it's really awesome to watch her orchestrate the show, keeping people calm, mind you, through a pandemic, through tragedy, through life. We always say, like, you guys are doing life with us. She's lost her mom. I've lost my father-in-law. Ryan, we've all gone through so much loss together through the years. And when you can get that over the air without breaking, it's like a whole other level of love, respect, admiration, and our listeners too. Like, they help us get through those things.
Yep.
But that's also the beauty of connection in radio.
Yeah. That's the beauty of radio in
it
general.
It really is.
That, and like Jason Ryan, executive producer of Big Boy's Neighborhood, was on the show, and he talked about how, like, with all the choices that are out there, some people still just want a friend in the morning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that friend, whether it be Big Boy, whether it be, Woody, whether it be Ellen or Ryan Seacrest, whoever, these people are like part of your daily lives, and you wake up to them. And I remember just recently, Big Boy had a listener on the air, and the first thing they were asking questions of what was the stupid rule that you grew up with, right? That was the topic or the thread that people were calling in about. And this girl called in, I think her name was Vanessa, and she said, I just want to say before we get into it that I grew up to you, and to me, you're like my Theo. And immediately you could hear Big go, oh, when he goes, oh. And when I heard that, immediately made me kind of like tear up because I know how important that is to him.
Yeah.
And vice versa, I know how important he is to the listeners, which then obviously Ellen is just as equally as important to her listeners.
Listen, I want to tell you something, and
Please.
I don't know if you've had the distinct privilege of sitting through some of these sketch. Twice a year, maybe 3. We have focus blogs, as they're called. I don't know why they call them focus blogs. They're just focus groups where you sit in, and we have a firm that provides response from listeners. Oh, what did you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's like our rating system where they panel 100 people, and then for the next 6 months you have to pattern your show based on what these people say. And they always come back to, because these are programmers working with programmers, and programmers always think that the music is, yes, music's great, but you don't meet somebody at SoFi Stadium or at an Oktoberfest and like, do you remember when you played Miley Cyrus Flowers?
Oh my God.
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
The music is there, but listen to me. At the end of the day, and I don't care or know how much they pay these people to give this research.
Yeah.
It is exactly what you're saying. It is exactly the person that says, Ellen, I listened to you in my car seat. Now I'm driving my kids to school in their car seat. Yeah. That is radio.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. That's the connection. Anybody could play Rick Astley.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. And you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. You could listen to the iHeart app. You could do whatever. Find it. Put in your CD, your old cassette tape. It's there. It exists. We know that. What doesn't exist? Ellen talking about the loss of her mother. Me coming on the air after a divorce. Darlene talking about her daughter with special needs, or the fact that she just had a baby and whoopsie surprise, and that dude is magic.
Yeah,
that is
Ray. Shout out to Ray.
That's life, and to live life with each other. That's what we get to do, and it's such a blessing and a privilege.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't buy your research that they talked for an extra 14 seconds about St. Patrick's Day. That was a tune out. Okay,
nobody cares. Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what nobody cares about this.
Exactly.
This meeting.
Yes. Damn, well said. I'm telling you, man, it's true, because it's like asking when you brought up the whole Miley Cyrus. Do you remember when you played Miley Cyrus? It's equivalent to when one of the sales folks asks me, Sketch, do you remember you produced that spot about 4 months ago and you used that? And I go to that person, I go, that's like me asking you, do you remember when you were driving to work and you passed by a Mercedes? Yes. It was white and it was going the opposite direction on the freeway. Remember that? It was a guy driving. It's just like, what, dude? Yeah. No, I don't remember.
Of course.
But of course, you say that, you have a bad attitude. You're difficult to work with. What? How? Yeah. I'm just trying to help me help you.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I'll tell you what would help, and if that salesperson is listening, send Sketch the spot you're talking about. And say, hey, Sketch, super random, and I doubt you'll remember. Yeah. Could you possibly identify that music? Because I like that, and the client liked it. Would love to use it again in the next spot. This particular music, just here, I found it for you.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about.
No, never. No. Well, every now and again, I'll get that from the ones that do really know their shit, and they're on top of it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because I know that they are really working as hard as they can to do their job, which is difficult. I'm not trying to knock anybody's job. Everybody's job here in radio or at any radio station, no matter what department you're in, is as equally as important as the other, because it all works together. And it creates like this Voltron robot that is radio. And if one of the departments isn't fulfilling their obligations, then that Voltron arm is going to fall off. And it's not up to the production department to fulfill the missing arm. And it's not up to Ryan Manno or Darlene to fulfill the missing head or whatever it is. And that's the part that a lot of people don't understand about radio. And I was going to say about the focus group thing, exactly what are they focusing on is my question.
I mean, I don't know. Focusing on just trying to get us to shut up.
I see.
I think is the game.
It's like talk, but don't talk.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what it is.
Sorry, not sorry.
We really, honestly, you guys are doing so great, and everyone loves your personality. But like, if you could just like show less of it, and like do don't do that.
Yeah, show less of it, but more, but not as much.
Not that much. And it's there. If you could just don't do that.
Right.
Is basically what.
But do it.
But do it. We need you to keep doing it, but don't do that.
Yeah,
just
that.
don't do that.
Is what.
But I also like that. So I don't know. Someone liked that, but then this other person didn't like that. So you just don't do that.
Ryan Manno, your energy is extraordinary. I cannot match it. Working with Ellen K is my next question. Speaking of Ellen K, iconic radio personality for quite a number of years. I grew up to Ellen K. I never thought that I would be getting a text message from Ellen K asking me to do some work for her, which was, I mean, by far one of the greatest. If my mom was still alive and I said, hey, Mom, look, Ellen K just texted me, she would blow a gasket, or she would be the full on mind blowing up emoji. She'd, oh my God, Ellen, like, and I wish she was, but in a way, I feel like she has something to do with that.
Are you the only boy?
I am.
Okay.
I'm the baby too. So
there's a huge connection there because Ellen, you'll see her mug right there. That's the love of her life.
Where? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I saw this picture on her well, not this exact picture,
That's
but the picture of her son.
Her one and only son, Kelvin. And
Kelvin K.
Yeah. And there's a special bond between mother and son that I don't think you guys have been able to even recognize or realize that yet. But I'm happy that you guys have connected because I do see a future with you guys.
Well, I attribute that connection to you, Darlene. Without you being that connector, I don't think it would. I mean, she knew me. She knew me in the hallway and just was like, oh, yeah, I know that tall, skinny guy. Yeah, I know him. But she didn't know me until you came along or you put us together. And I'm grateful for that because, well, I want to ask you, Ellen K, as iconic as she is, as I said earlier, what's it like working with this iconic radio personality on a daily? What's it like was it meaning like getting hired on the show? We'll start with you, Ryan, and then Darlene. Like, Ryan, were you ready for that? Were you nervous? Did you know obviously you knew who she was. You're a radio guy, but were you like prepared? Did you feel like you might fuck this up? What was the first feeling you had? And how did it go when you got hired? How did it happen?
Well, first of all, like to answer your first question, I mean, it was pure excitement. I mean, the thought of doing morning radio again and with somebody like Ellen. I mean, this is crazy. Like sometimes I feel like a lot of times in radio too, and I've gotten so I grew up listening to a guy named Mancow, just like
Mancow. I know Mancow.
Mancow was on Q101, and I mean, I would deliver papers as like a young kid, and it was like so dirty, and he's a shock jock, but I loved it, and that's all I listened to. And then, fast forward 10 years, and I'm on his show.
What kind of papers, if I may ask?
Rolling papers.
Oh,
I was bringing them to your house.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because you said I thought you said because you went like
delivering newspapers.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I would walk my newspaper out every morning. But
what would you say? He was so dirty, or what did you?
Oh yeah, he was a shock jock at the time.
Oh, dirty.
And being younger, it was kind of like, oh, this is forbidden. It's like that like, you can't.
Yeah,
so but anyway,
some crazy stunts.
He did, and but fast forward, 10 years. And he's like, hey, man, I want you to join my show. Right. And so you're like, how did I know. What? Yeah. How? Then to be sitting in a boardroom at SiriusXM and have Howard Stern walk in and say, you're hired.
Crazy.
And, that's right. I read that on your now outdated LinkedIn. But I'm glad you haven't updated or changed any of this because when I got
I don't know how to change it, Sketch.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I can show you that.
Okay.
It's pretty easy.
I can't get in.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Log in. No, but so that's another moment where you go, okay, wow, it happened again.
Yeah. Howard Stern. How did that come together?
Baba Booey. Shout out to Gary Delabate. I was doing a podcast with my friend Abe Cannon, my longtime radio partner, and I, when we were both out of radio but wanted to keep doing something in the medium, we would do a podcast. Gary somehow found it. What? Because he knew of us from Mancow. And then he was like, he reached out to me and Abe and said, guys, this is ridiculous. I'm going to send it to Howard. I think we might have something for you. And so Gary brokered that whole deal, flew us out. We met with Howard. And,
Gary Delabicio.
And it was just awesome, man. So anyway, I'm going a long way to get to this.
No, please. It's a podcast.
So you got this moment where it happens again, where you're like, this doesn't happen.
Right.
And so for it to happen again with Ellen K on KOST in LA.
Right.
at the time I was on Alt 98.7. I was tracking a show on Alt 102.9 in Tacoma. It was just fine.
Right.
It was fine.
You were here. You were in the
I was
industry.
in the building,
you were in
I was
LA.
working, it was fine. But like, when you get that call, hey, do you want to do this?
So they offered it. Did you apply or did they just go,
Ellen
hey?
Stole me. Ellen
Wow.
found me and said to Darlene, like, I think this is our guy. He can maintain eye contact while editing. He's an octopus. He does everything. He smiles. And I think this might be our guy. And they hated it. They didn't want it because my name's Ryan. She just left Ryan. They tried to call me RJ.
No.
My middle name's Joseph. I'm like, this is dumb.
No.
I've been Ryan Manno my whole life. I'm not, it's.
You're the one Manno show.
Silly. So they fought. Oh my God, did they fight it? For years, not years, months, I would say.
Felt like years.
Yeah, it felt like years.
Mm-hmm.
But they resisted for quite some time. But
why am I not surprised by that?
Yeah, it's the way.
I'm kind of living that currently, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great. But, and then, what I will say about working with Ellen, look, it's kind of like a marriage where your love changes. It goes through phases. And this is not, please hear what I'm saying as a positive. You start in the honeymoon phase, like anything. Your new job, it starts different. By 8 years in, it's different. And the dynamic is different. And what I mean by that is better. It becomes richer and deeper. And you understand things about each other that you didn't understand before. It's like a relationship. It truly is. Yeah. And when I first started, I think the second week I started here, Ellen's husband was on the air with us and he was like, Ryan, I just want to give you a word of warning. Ellen is basically the real life Cindy Lou Who from the Grinch.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Where it doesn't matter. Christmas is canceled. This monster asshole is stealing everyone's presents. He even stole the damn tree. And Cindy Lou Who is sitting there going, I love you and everything's great.
Yeah.
That's Ellen.
That's Ellen.
Roy was right.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
The house could be on fire. And she's like,
this is fine.
Pretty?
That's fine.
This is, look at,
it's
I
warm.
love the smell of wood. It's so good. But that truly is Ellen, and I say that in the best way possible because we all need an Ellen.
Yeah.
I'll give you another one. Ted Stryker, down the hall. He somehow likes our show. I don't know why. Thank you, Stryker.
Why do you say that?
No, because I view Stryker as more of like, just like he's like deep into like listening to music or like I don't. It's fun that he likes our show because I grew up
and he's a cool guy.
He's the
a cool
best
guy.
dude, and that's why I say it kind of like, holy crap, Stryker listens to our show. I grew up. Again, when I started in radio, I was board opping at Q101 for a little bit, and we would play Loveline. And when Dr. Drew was out, Stryker would fill in with Adam, vice versa with Adam.
I remember that,
right? And I always thought like, there's something about Stryker, and I tell him this every time I see him. And if I've had too many drinks, he's heard me tell him about this Loveline story like 10 times when I've been drunk. But anyway, Stryker says to me, and this is the coolest way I think anyone's put it. He's like, you and Ellen together are like a rose. She's the pretty part and you're the thorns.
Oh.
But I think you need it.
Pretty accurate.
Yes.
Man. I like that.
And you do need.
But you're a fun thorn.
Well, I try to be.
What's Darlene then in this flower, in this rose?
Darlene is the person with the watering can watering that rose.
Aww. So sweet.
I'm serious. She's the wetness. Wait, no. What? She's the water.
Oh my gosh, that
was
cool.
so good.
He's doing that with his cheek.
And last thing I will say, and then you can move on to Dar's answer for this. Ellen is a very feeling person.
Yeah.
Ellen's very empathetic. Like, we all have pros and cons. We're all good at different stuff. And I'm very like, literal, very factual based. I write, like, if you can see this, I write all of her newscasts.
Whoa.
I write that every day.
Very detailed.
Two page.
And you write that every day.
Every day.
It's very, it's almost like a thesis.
It is. And so but that's for our top stories, top of the hour. Ellen reads it. Mm-hmm. I write it. And I think that's another thing that makes us work. The dynamic is that Ellen is the person that's going to hold your hand. Mm-hmm. And I'm the person that's going to tell you how long it's going to take you to get from A to B. Like, I'm very analytical and
you both are like the yin and the yang. You complement each other, right?
Yeah.
I feel
I love her I just can't say enough good things about her as a person. If you've listened to Ellen and you're like, you don't remember that Bill O'Reilly video where he's like, fuck it, we'll do it live, right?
Yes,
where you're like,
playing the clip.
Yeah.
We'll do it live.
Right? Where you're like, okay, everyone has that side, right? Surely Ellen does. She does not. I go back to her being Cindy Lou Who. What you hear is what you get. What you think she is, she is.
I got to try to get Ellen on the podcast at some point. I want to try to get her to curse. Does she curse ever? Does she? Like, oh, fuck.
I honestly, like, it's got to be a real big
deal.
Yeah, like someone's really gotta grind her gears. I've heard it.
She uses terms like, instead of goosebumps, angel bumps.
I got angel bumps.
Her and Karen Sharp both are cut from the same cloth when it comes to that stuff. But speaking on my work sister / radio mama.
How's it working with her? And go ahead.
I grew up listening to her.
Yeah, I know.
So when I heard I had the chance to become one of her producers, I was like, I had just been hired 6 months prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
I had interned at KOST. I was fairly new. I came from the news world, and I was like, oh man, like I was nervous. I thought she was going to be a diva. That was my first impression. I was like, she's friends with the Kardashians. Kris Jenner's her friend. She got a tattoo with her. I don't think she's going to like me. First impression was.
And had you met her briefly before as a listener?
Never. Not even not in passing, not as a listener. And we had a dinner scheduled to meet each other. And it was like instant attraction.
Where did you guys go eat?
Downstairs, Morton's.
Oh yeah, very fancy.
And the bosses brought us together to meet, and I just remember thinking, what would I want if I were coming over to launch my own show? And I thought, let me bring her a binder with ideas.
Wow.
Right? And
Ellen still talks about that binder to this day.
Do you have the binder?
I don't know. Maybe
Ellen says, like, that's how I knew you were meant for me, Darlene. Is when you sat down and started showing me a binder. She's like, because again, sorry, Dar, to disrupt you, but we, like I said, we're all good at different things. Darlene is the tracks. She's the train tracks. And I think Ellen knows, like I know, that I lack that. I lack what she has. And I think that's why Ellen fell in love with Darlene. Like right away. Yeah. She's since, like I said, our love changes and we learn more and love each other for different reasons. But when she saw, this lady has a fucking binder.
She loves organization. So I love organization. Yeah. And we both had sons that played football. And so it was that. It was like, home.
Right.
And
home is the perfect description.
There was no guide to launching a morning show, female-led in LA, and people doubted her. I never did. I was like, I'm going to do whatever you need, and vice versa. And she does that too. Whatever is needed, she will do. She's the first to offer, like, let me do this or let me do that, right? And Ryan has been great with his expertise, listening to what we want, and then he's like, okay, let's do it like this. And then we just make it happen. So it's very do-it-yourself type of building. The model, maybe we can start something, Ryan, like with Ellen, because Ellen helping her build her show, her allowing us to be a part of it has been such a blessing. And yeah, we complained about the business earlier, but this is completely separate from the show.
Yeah, no, I know that for sure.
And so it's been so awesome to work with her and to see her do so much that we all aspire to do, right? Making the Radio Hall of Fame, working with so many people. And when people like Gwen Stefani and Rod Stewart and like all these names are just like, oh, hey, Ellen, like they're just friends. And she's like, let me see your wrist. Let's link up really quick and see if our heartbeats are syncing.
Yeah, Cindy Lou Who.
Wow.
See, that's what she did with Gaga before the interview. She's like, give me your wrist. I want to see if her heartbeats can sync. It's like,
what? Like Wi-Fi?
What?
And then they shared gummy bears and we went into the interview. Like, I love her dorkiness.
I love the goofiness.
Yeah.
That's what I like when, Ellen and other women like her that are, very fancy and, sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sexy grown women. There's something special about that when they have that kind of
raw, authentic.
Yes.
Dork.
Yeah, goofiness. It reminds me of Cameron Diaz, sort of, when she'd walk into a room like in Something About Mary, and like, she'd purposely like walk into the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just there's something so hot about that.
We are dorky sisters. And that's why I love her. She's never made me feel crazy like I did in the past, where I'm like looking around the room like, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Am I crazy?
Right.
And like, I remember a couple times we would look at each other like, what? Are we crazy? And we just always have figured it out. And I just, that's rare. I know that's rare. That's a once in a lifetime thing. And I'm just always going to be an avid supporter and do whatever is needed. Like, that's just my place because I know that deep down in her heart, she wants the best for her listeners, for her team, for her company, like all of it.
Right. Let me ask you this. What's the hardest part of working with the Ellen K Morning Show? Not Ellen K in particular, but just working. It probably could be any show, but in this show, Ellen K Morning Show on KOST 103.5.
I can answer that quick.
What you got first?
We don't have enough support, whereas other people do. Something simple as like having a helper for digital reasons or having a phone operator. Like, it's just the three of us.
Right.
And we get, and to kind of piggyback on that, which I guess would be my answer too, is you get a lot of, and I don't know if it's maybe, again, this is maybe a little too inside baseball for anyone that doesn't work in radio, but in terms of formatting, KOST being an AC station doesn't always get the attention.
Mm-hmm.
AC meaning adult contemporary, right?
Right. So it's kind of like, other formats, top 40, hot AC.
Like we don't matter.
We're kind of like the go in the corner, which is almost funny because we're actually in the corner
of the building, right?
So it's kind of like it's the same. And
you're like the redheaded stepchild.
We are.
Go stand over there.
And again, this is not a complaint. It's the reality of it. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying as a complaint. It is not. But the hardest part to answer your question is because the way that the format, and this is not just in LA, this is all over. It could be at Odyssey, it could be at Merwelo Media, it doesn't matter. The AC stations don't get the attention. They just don't. And so a lot of times when we say, Ellen says, hey, we don't have anyone in the studio answering phones. We don't have anyone to help us save prizes. We don't have a dedicated digital person. Not only do we never get that, but then they go, well, why do you need that?
To do a show.
But if anyone else, God forbid, someone down the hall, anybody said, hey, I don't have anyone to answer phones, they would go, oh my God, you don't have anyone to answer phones? I'll fix it. Here they go, why?
Right.
Why?
You know what though? We've always done it. Like we've still hit the headlines. We've still made it exclusive.
Right. See, this is the problem. That is the problem. One of my favorite quote sketches, we encourage what we tolerate. We encourage what we tolerate. So when you're really damn good at what you do, being a tricycle for this long, and you go, hey, I'd like a fourth tire. They go,
do you really need it?
Another tire?
Yeah. The Bird Box blindfold goes on, right?
It. And that to me is the most frustrating part. And I don't mind saying it. I don't care. I don't go beat on their door. I don't pester them, but my God.
You're allowed to speak your mind, man. And that's what this podcast is about, man. It's just about, getting it out there, put it out there. I mean, Ellen K is nationally syndicated. Am I correct?
No, we have a Saturday, a Saturday show that is, from New York to LA, Chicago, Dallas, Seattle, Miami.
And who's producing all that stuff?
You're looking at him.
Wow. Now I see why you're hitting me up, Darlene. I get it. Yeah. I mean, look, we all could use an extra hand in this this thing we call radio, especially morning show radio. That's what sets the tone for the rest of the day of the radio station, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for taking the time to be on my podcast, Ryan Manno and Darlene Rodrigo, for you're the first guest that's made a return to the podcast.
I love that.
I didn't mean to either. It
happened like that.
There were some really important nuggets I didn't want Ryan to skip on.
Yeah.
The one thing we're missing is his famous grandpa that you can mention later.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that right now, but I want to before we. Do you want to go to that, or
I'll
do you want
just
to
say
go
this
Matthew
really
Perry?
quick. No, let's end on Matthew Perry. My grandpa. It's unfortunate that he passed before I was born. My mom was pregnant with me, and I never got to meet him. But I think too, my love of baseball came through my grandpa, which was passed through my dad. But he was a professional baseball player. He played for the Red Sox and Cardinals. Wow. Joe Manno. He was a catcher.
Isn't that cool?
Joe Manno. That sounds like a baseball player.
Yep.
How long did he play for? How many years?
He played, I think, in the MLB for 3 or 4 seasons. He was kind of a bit of a, journeyman, kind of a backup catcher, but he still was a Major League Baseball player. It's crazy.
That's crazy, man. Did he, is there any baseball cards with him on it?
No, I don't think so. I have photos of him playing.
Do you look like him?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my, we need a picture.
I know. I want to see this.
I'm tired
Joe
of this.
Manno.
Yeah.
He always mentioned it like it's nothing. Like, my grandpa played for the MLB. I'm like, what? And now he says he looks like him, and we've never seen it.
got to see this picture, man. You got it?
Find it.
All right.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I got it.
Take your time.
No,
Here we go.
Oh my God, let's see. This
How dare you.
Sketcho Show podcast exclusive.
There you go.
Oh
That's
my!
him in his Reds
You
playing-
do
his
look
Red
like
Sox jersey.
him. That's your dad's dad.
Yeah.
Holy crap, Joe Manno, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Similar jaw and smile.
He has that look from that era.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I like how I was
so
able to
cool.
throw an era
That was
very
good.
apropos with Taylor Swift. Have you guys met Taylor Swift before? Has she been in the show?
I have not. Ellen has a couple times. Yeah, but
So she's friends with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, right.
Look at that box. It came from Taylor, sitting right in front of you.
Oh, this on the with the
That
computers
just
on.
got mailed to Ellen from Taylor.
Oh, it's the vinyl.
Is it?
I could tell by the box. There's probably a shirt, some other goodies in there, but the vinyl's in here because it's a 12-inch flat box.
Yeah. This is how you know you're cool and important.
Yes.
When you get a box from Taylor Swift and don't open it.
Yeah.
Ellen
And
is sitting there all morning.
And it says Taylor's version.
Yeah.
1989 Taylor Swift, the little seagulls, and I come in and put my laptop over it.
We're going to
How
do an
disrespectful.
unboxing
I know.
video.
We have
That's
to do
why.
it tomorrow. But think about that. You're Ellen K. You're like, yeah, I'll open that whenever.
I
It's like
mean,
it's the real life version of
I gotta
leaving
get to
someone
KTLA.
on red. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
she didn't do that on
I'm
purpose.
kidding.
She didn't leave her unseen like
Yeah.
they do me, huh? Back to Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
I had the distinct honor of meeting the man very shortly. I'm talking just a quick hello when I was on the red carpet premiere for Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie. This is when I was working at Power. They would send me out to the red carpet premieres to interview the celebrities and whatnot, and then I'd cut that audio up and play it back on Big Boy's show, right? And he wasn't in the movie, but he showed up to the premiere. And he was one of the last people walking the red carpet. The red carpet went in that like kind of U shape, you know what I mean, where they circle around. And he came up, and the person that was, I guess, his handler for the red carpet came up, and it's just me, skinny sketch with long hair. I used to have really long curly black hair before I went receding hairline style, and I'm holding a Power 106 mic with the little Power logo on it, right? And he comes by and they're like, would you like to talk to Matthew Perry? I'm like, yes. And I'm all, Matthew Perry, how are you, sir? And he looked at me and he saw the mic and he just I could tell he like was weary about it. I think now in the moment, he just goes, hey, how you doing? And he just kind of kept going. And I was taken aback by that. Yeah. Because I was a big fan. And I thought he was the best on Friends. He was the funniest. But I felt like in a brief moment, and I'm not bashing, because this is 2000. This is early 2000, right? Or mid 2000. I'm in my 20s or early 20s at the time. And, I was a hothead and stuff. And I just kind of was like, man, that was kind of an assholey thing. I didn't say that, of course. I just was like, oh, all right. And that was it. Then years and years, decades go by and now he's gone. And as I'm going through shifting and sorting out through all the audio of him, I had no idea that he was dealing with all that. I mean, I knew about it. I knew about his bouts with addiction and all that, like later on, before he passed away, way before he passed away. But I never put two and two together. You know what I mean? And when I was putting together the tribute, it hit me where I was like, maybe he was dealing with some shit at that moment, and he didn't, and maybe he was trying to keep a low pro, or maybe he was hungover, or maybe he needed to go get another drink, or maybe he was sober. I don't know, but I know he was dealing with something, because that version I got of him wasn't him. It was like this weary version, and even the handler looked at him and was like, "Oh, okay." Like it seemed, and I went through all the online images of that night or of that premiere, and I was trying to find myself in the background, but I couldn't find any pictures. But I was like, am I remembering this right? Was he at that premiere? Sure enough, he was.
That's awesome.
And I remember just exact what he was wearing, and it made me feel like, well, at least you got to say something to him, and he said something back to you.
Of course.
He didn't curse you out or anything. He just was like, hey, how you doing? And he just was like, left.
Yeah.
But did you guys have a chance? No, I already asked that, didn't I?
No, yeah, we haven't met him.
The closest to him is Matt LeBlanc.
Oh yeah, you met Matt LeBlanc.
And he works closely with Children's Hospital, and we work closely with Children's Hospital LA. And
is he friends with Ellen?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. I know Ellen has like the funniest. You have to get her on your show one day because she has stories for days. Like, oh yeah, I was with Lionel Richie's dog last night for dinner, and we're like,
yeah.
How does that happen?
Lionel Richie's dog.
Yeah,
it's
Her
random
friend
stuff
was
like
dog
that.
sitting Lionel Richie's dog.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's friends with Matt, and they've worked together to promote, the greatness of CHLA and what it does for our community. But I was not knowing him. I was sad for Matt, being that Matt has history with him, and we're getting ready to record like these promos for our Giving Tuesday broadcast coming up the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And I was already thinking like, it's going to bring a whole new meaning when Matt mentions anything about a friend because he's feeling that loss right now.
It's rough, man. And going through that myself, dealing with alcoholism and addiction, it was not just an honor to put together that tribute for him, but I could really relate to everything he was saying. And I feel so fortunate that I was able to get out of that and not have that anymore. They say an alcoholic is always an alcoholic. I really feel like I am not because I drank enough for 3 lifetimes. And I just don't have any urge to go back to that because I know what it did to me and I've seen what it does to other people, including Matthew Perry, including my mom. It's a real life thing. No matter what clout or status you have or how much money, it doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's in you. And my whole family suffered through that kind of, Mexican folks were real apt to become alcoholics pretty quick, right? Am I right about that, Darlene Rodrigo?
Yep. Amen.
Is there anything else we should touch on before? Oh, we talked about your grandfather. We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I got honestly, this was
you got it all out.
I appreciate you
a
letting
little
me.
therapy session.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, this is great. And thank you, honestly. And I'm not just saying this. Like it really. I think by doing this, I don't know. I'm sure like a lot of people listening, it's like sometimes you have this like passion project that may feel like it's not rewarding, but it really is. This is a great thing you're doing.
Thank you.
And it's awesome. And I love it. And I'm happy to be even a small part of it. And keep kicking ass. And here too, because I don't want to say this because I might. I will tell you this. I really enjoy every interaction you and I have had to have on email because maybe something wasn't handled the right way or whatever. And the first person to get it done well, get it done great, get it done right, have a good attitude. For anyone who says he's difficult to work with, he's not. He's actually a pleasure to work with. So thank you.
I'm like you, Ryan. I like to just get shit done and get it done right, and give me the tools that I need to fulfill the task.
Yeah. You're great at what you do and very, very much appreciated. And you probably don't hear it enough. And that's my point.
Man, and I have it on tape. Yes, sir.
Play it back.
I'm going to be pulling a clip of that anytime goes, Sketch has a bad attitude, difficult to work with. I'm going to go, oh yeah, listen to this.
Very, very much appreciated. He's actually a pleasure to work with.
Making it do a little promo and everything.
Thank you.
Darlene Rodrigo, thank you again for bringing me together with Ryan Manno and bringing me together with Ellen K and the Ellen K Morning Show, and for really giving a shit about me. You care, and I know you care, Ryan, and we don't hear enough of the appreciativeness. I know that I don't need to hear it every single day, every minute, but it does help because I am human, just like we all are, and we have feelings. I try not to let my feelings take over, but I'm a sensitive person, Ryan. I know you're a sensitive, you're a sensitive, passionate person about what you do.
Yep.
And sometimes that passion can come across as bad attitude.
Yes, sir.
But it's not. It's not for me. If I didn't care, I wouldn't reply.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get upset if I didn't care.
Yes.
But I do care. I probably care too much at the, well, I probably shouldn't say that. Like you said, Ryan, I probably should say at the being, I'll bleep that part. But it's a gift to be able to do this every day, and it's a curse because it comes with the cost. Darlene, you got something.
We're cutting off just days before the Thanksgiving season, and I think this is a perfect way to seg into let's be grateful. We're headed into Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Amen.
Whoever it is that you are thankful for, just let them know. They may need to hear it.
Yeah.
We all need that,
we do.
right?
We do in this world, especially now. Everything, we're living in the upside down, and it's wild. It's not just within radio industry. It's I think everybody's dealing with, everybody has some cross to bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by default, people that work here, their crosses to bear become my crosses to bear by default. And I have to accept that and embrace it. Like Nipsey Hussle said, you got to accept the burden, and it has to be a burden.
Yep.
And when you accept it and embrace it, then you'll catch wisdom off of that. And I take that to heart. I think about that every time I'm like, I'm like losing my mind. I'm ready to throw my computer out the window. I'm ready to just go, I quit. That's it. And then I think, well, it could be a whole lot worse, man. You know, we could be living in a war-filled country. Yeah. There could be rockets incoming, and they're not. Our rockets are different. They're in the form of commercials. All right. Ryan Manno, Darlene Rodrigo, and the Ellen K Morning Show crew, thank you so much for being on the Sketch-O-Matic Show podcast. I love both of you, and I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Hey, too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay.
Okay, bye.
Sometimes I look at people like really beautiful people and I think they poop.
I know. I'm jealous.
You're so weird.
Gonna probably have to edit that part out.
Oh my God.